Hello and welcome back to the Harbor Online Community YouTube channel. Excited to be here today. I am John and I'm joined by Dottie. Dottie, hello. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. This is the first time I've hopped on for a recording since returning from maternity leave, so it's good to be back.
Yeah, welcome back. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Um, at our most recent Harbor meeting, we had a kind of a standalone discussion. It was not part of a larger series, and Dottie led our content. Um, and it was a really great meeting. And Dottie, I was hoping for those out there who weren't able to make it, could you give us a little summary of what we talked about at this last Harbor meeting?
Yeah, so we talked about how do we respond well to people that are different from us, that might annoy us, that might have different political views, maybe they're rude. How do we respond well, and how do we love our neighbors well? This question really arose for me out of a lot of us in the United States feeling some anxiety and tensions with the 2024 election. And kind of going, gosh, there's a lot going on with people either in our immediate circle or from far away, where I am reacting and I am really having a hard time knowing an appropriate response. And so I some of the work that I do in psychology is around mindfulness and body-centered practices. And I've been doing a lot of that work recently and led a conference. And in out of that conference came this conversation around we have the option to move through different types of pain when we're faced with relational challenges. And so I was reminded of this book. It's called My Grandmother's Hands. And Resma Menakem is a trauma a therapist that really focuses in trauma and talks about so much of this is happening in our bodies. And he specifically talks about racialized trauma in the United States. But a lot of his framework is really, really useful to just how am I engaging people that are different than me, whether they're from a different cultural background, again, different belief system, whatever it is, how am I engaging them? And so he talks about with these interactions, our fight or flight part of our brain, the reptile part of our brain signals when we experience difference. And our body goes into a need for security. And the temptation is to push people away and to go into what he calls dirty pain, I guess. So he says, we're going to go through discomfort for healing and growth no matter what. We can go the way of clean pain or the way of dirty pain. And the way of dirty pain is blame, denial, avoidance. And the way of clean pain is a way that is still really painful, but honest and invites us into deepening our capacities for growth. And so we talked about what's clean pain, what's dirty pain. If I have someone say a rude comment to me, how can I respond in a way that's clean? Clean pain isn't ignoring our emotions, it's still being honest about them. Um, but yeah, instead of maybe pointing the finger at people, how can I really access what's going on in my body that is so upsetting for me with different interactions, or what's going on within my body that makes me uncomfortable to engage with someone from a different culture? So yeah, that was a little bit about it. We did a practice from within the book. It was a breathing mindfulness practice. Yeah, that was good for some of us, uncomfortable for some of us, uh, maybe irritating for some of us, but it was fun nonetheless.
That's great. Um, I mean, we'll dive into here in a second, maybe some of our takeaways or the takeaways within our discussion groups at the Harbor meeting. But I will throw in here just a really, really small sermon that I gave in my breakout room discussion, because I thought it was so helpful, the story that you shared. And we don't have to rehash the whole story, but you shared a story about being in the park and someone was rude to you and your small child and you were upset. And but I just thought it was so helpful to see, like, this is this is not like we're just looking at like psychology to become better people. Like, we looked at some scriptures and then you told that story, and to me, the story was just a way of showing like we have these ideas from the Bible and they're important. Love your neighbor as yourself. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You know, even that one I was thinking of last when we met, I was thinking of how can you love God whom you can't see or perceive with your senses if you can't even love the person right in front of you. And your story was just showing like, okay, we want to love people. That's all well and good. But like these people, like this person, like what? And so um the clean pain, the dirty pain, all the cool psychology stuff we looked at, I just was pointing out to my room, like this is the concrete, like this is as people, human people, bodies, like this is what it means to try to love. So anyway, I really appreciated the content and thought it was theologically very significant. So thanks for sharing it all with us.
Yeah, thanks, John. So the story, I'll share a little bit of it. My I took my 2-year-old and my 3-month-old to the park and we had a magical time. I was in bliss. I was texting my husband, this is the dreamiest time ever. And I was just like on cloud nine as a mom. It was super windy. It's been stormy down here in Southern California. And it was just like such a magical outing. And on my walk home, my son goes, Mom, 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 or Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. And he's pointing at the dandelions and he wants to go. A neighbor had taught him to pick them and blow them, right? And they're weeds, so it's okay to pick them. And so I go, oh yeah, cool, go for it, Beckham. So he's running through the grass, and there's a long walking path and grass on both sides, and he's running through the grass, picking the dandelions, blowing them, throwing them in the air, so harmless. And I'm like, what a beautiful thing, like my sweet child. A woman walks by with her dog, and she gives me the meanest face and says something along the lines of, really? Throwing flowers near my dog? That is not cool. And I go, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, right? Like, and then I'm looking and I'm going, wait a second, this is my sweet 2-year-old, totally in his own world, throwing like dandelions, blowing them, throwing them, not on the walking path. And if he was, it would still be okay. And just in his own world. And this woman's response was so harsh. And my blood was boiling, boiling. And I already knew I was going to be talking about dirty pain and clean pain. So I vented to some neighbors walking by after that. And then I marched home and I was like looking for her, like, where is she? And she's going to get a piece of my mind. And I get home and I tell my husband, I'm like, this is where clean paint and dirty paint is so hard. Because I just want to be so mad. I want to call her names. Like, I cannot believe that. And so I really felt this like real life tension of the way of dirty paint is to call her names, to be super reactive, or to go, oh, it doesn't bother me. She's just probably having a hard day, in a condescending way. Or to, yeah, quite literally call her really rude and condescending names. And the way of clean pain is for me to go, ooh, that really bothered me. That hurt me. I felt like that was a direct attack on my child. Am I a good mom? And I suddenly, in an area that should feel very safe in my neighborhood, I suddenly don't feel safe anymore. And so that is kind of this real life. Like when we're faced with rude people or people that have like something alarms our bodies, like, oh, and we're finding like our blood is boiling, like we can go in the way of dirty pain, which is, um, yeah, like my temptation was just to like call her names and just talk about how messed up she was. But that's not actually a pain that heals myself. And it's not going to lead to me being a more generative, loving neighbor either.
Mm, yeah. Thank you for sharing that again. So finally I just thought like did anything cool emerge from the discussion breakout rooms? I can just tell you in my room we had a great discussion and I think the biggest takeaway for me from our group discussion was just that people really got this and it really resonated. And the the people had many stories of both. Here's times where I experienced pain and chose to react in a way that made that pain dirty
Mm,
because I chose to have an outburst of anger or denial or whatever, avoidance. Here's another time, a different situation where I felt pain, where I chose to instead metabolize it. I chose to sit
mhm.
with it, acknowledge it, think about it, work through it, and it did create much better results. It created room and energy for growth, healing. And so I just thought these were really resonant topics that people had many stories at hand, that helped flesh out kind of what these things actually look like. I'm curious how things were in your breakout room.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm glad to hear that. Um, in our breakout room, the first question that people wanted to kind of mull over in response to a question was, what does it mean to love? What does it mean to love our neighbors? And what would Jesus do? And someone was like, Jesus was flipping over tables. Jesus was calling out stuff. And we were like, absolutely. And I think the way of clean pain is not being angry. Clean pain requires anger, right? It requires us to be honest. But I think we don't lose the integrity of ourselves in the process. And that felt significant too, that the way of clean pain is one that heals our own selves in process. So anger is a part of healthy healing, right? It's not that we're not angry, but we're getting more to the root of it and the heart of it, so that there can be a deeper systemic change in ourselves and the collective. Um, yeah, something else someone said was, she asked, well, do you think that we get better at clean pain throughout our lives? Because 10 or 15 years ago, I wasn't too good at this, but now I would say I do clean pain really well. And we were like, knowing this person, we're like, yes, you do. Like, you really do. I'm not saying her by name because I don't know, but it's someone that, of course, I'm like, yeah, you really do this pain well. And that was also an encouraging note of looking for some of us to look back and see the growth that we've had and the areas of successes of like, oh, I used to respond this way and I'm actually responding this way now. And that's pretty exciting. And whether it's I'm at the end of my life and look how far I've come, or hey, I'm still in the thick of it. We had I think college student, the youngest was a college student and the oldest was maybe in their 70s. And so it was fun to even reflect on our different experiences and different growth patterns with um, clean pain. And a lot of people pointed out how therapy has helped them go through clean pain the best. And yeah, so it was a good discussion as well. It was really good.
That's great to hear. Yeah, and I will just add in there briefly that we had some similar themes come up in ours to what you just shared in terms of the flipping tables. And someone even said something like, I thought of Enneagram 8 Jesus. So that's kind of funny. Um,
Yeah.
but but yeah, it's like you in the park with Beckham and this woman, Jesus in the temple with the money changers. It's not like there's one specific action or words to say or not to say that like that's the loving thing and everything
Yeah.
else is bad. But it's like when you do have something in mind that is a loving response,
Yeah.
that's hard. It's hard because of the fight or flight. It's hard because of the pain. And so whether you want to flip over a table or walk away and say nothing, either way, there's ways to do it that are clean and there's ways to do it that are dirty. I think it's some of the
Yeah.
stuff our room was talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm.
Good
Well, it was a
insight.
rich night, and thanks for helping those who couldn't make it experience some of it here today. Always good to chat with you, Dottie.
Great chatting with you, John.